Danny.
Yes, sir. Relax.
Danny, how you doing?
I'm great, brother. I'm blessed to be here.
Nah, it's truly an honor. It's truly an honor. I feel like, you know, it's we've done this before, but it was just for something else.
Yeah.
But I got a glimpse of who you are as a musician, as a person. But I
Yeah.
feel like this interview would really like make me tap in more into what you do. Well, I already know what you do, but it's more of like the depth of what you do. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. Like a biography
Yeah.
type situation.
It's more like a history type of situation,
For
you
sure, I'm
know.
with it.
But yeah, it's truly an honor. Every time I see you, it's nothing but love. You know, it's like
It's
every
the
time I see
same,
you, I was like,
man.
"Yo, what's
I know
good?"
it, bro. I'm so proud. I'm like the same for me. I always see you. I'm just like, bro. I see what you're doing out here. You got the country. Like,
Mm,
it's just. I feel like all my dogs are up. Like, what can I tell you? That's why.
right.
That's why I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to see my friends in high positions too. So
Yeah, yeah.
always good to see you, bro.
Especially in South Florida, especially in South
Word.
Florida. But for people that know who you are, introduce yourself. Who is Danny Gauchier?
You got it right that time. It's Danny Gauchier. It's uh you might know me as Dirty Dan, as a musician, or Danny Gushers on social media. But my mom's calls me Daniel Philippe Gauchier. It's me. Uh, Haitian American, you know, you know, Miami and local Miami.
Nah, for sure, for sure. But that leads me to my next question.
Hmm.
My first question rather. I'm more tapping in. I want to tap more into your upbringing.
Hmm.
Where did you grow up, and what was your childhood like?
I feel like up until like when I was a child, up until like I was 18, I lived in Kendall, which is like West Miami. Uh, and around the time I graduated from high school, I moved down south, and I spent like the last like 9 years in Homestead actually. So I feel like for the most part, I've been all over Miami.
And how was your childhood like growing up around those areas?
Well, I went to school at Frank C. Martin, which is like closer to Richmond Heights, and I also went to Rob Morgan, which is also in that same area. So it's funny, I never went to a Kendall school. Uh, but it was cool. I got to like really mix with like the best demographics. So I have a nice mixed group of friends.
Hmm. Hmm. What kind of music was around you growing up?
Oh man, a lot of music. Just like growing up with, or growing up in a Haitian household, I listened to a lot of compa. As a kid, so I'm a dancing ass motherfucker. I love dancing. I used to dance with my aunts, my mom, and stuff. So I've always been like the music that make people move. My sister also was at an age where she exposed me to BET and MTV. So I was listening to like a lot of 50 Cent, like Lil Wayne, and also like even getting the rock perspective too, like the Linkin Parks, the System of the Downs. Nice little plethora of like early 2000s music.
Right. That was like a I feel like that era of music in the early 2000s was like,
The golden
yeah,
age.
that was like the golden age of music. Yeah, MTV,
Hmm.
BET, even sometimes VH1. You know,
Yo,
like
literally that. All in the trifecta. That's when we would go to see our entertainment
yeah,
when it came to music.
Channel 69,
Yeah, 60.
71, 72.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. But
Facts.
but yeah, that era of music. Sometimes I always kind of reference those things. You laugh because you know.
The channels, like people not gonna get that. They're like, what? DirecTV has 1,500 channels.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
okay.
Nah, all the real ones know with the silver remote. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? But that's a whole other story. But yeah, that era of music was just a whole like I reference that era a lot because to me the Y2K era out of all the eras of music is the underestimated one in my opinion. So like growing up, that was like our childhood.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Do you remember the first time you connected with music, and what was that moment like growing up?
As a kid, I felt like I always was into music because of how my family was oriented. No one in my family was a musician really, but just listening to a lot of music, a lot of parties. Uh, my first little toy, my uncle, my godfather gave it to me. It was like a little like fake guitar, and I'll play on it. I thought I was a rock star. I thought I was Carlos Santana. And then my mom was like, "You really want to do this?" And when I turned 7, my mom was like, "I'm gonna put you in lessons and see if you take it serious."
Mhm.
And from then on, for like the past like, it was from 7 to 11 where I was going to a music school, going to competitions. I was winning some trophies too, low key. I don't know if they really amount to anything right now, but just know I was winning trophies, uh, and like recitals. But then yeah, I feel like that's when I made my first connection, when I really kind of started taking it seriously. I got on a guitar, I started practicing in my garage. Because that's like an age where you don't have too many friends. So I had the time to really grind at that age.
Right. So you mentioned your mom, like how important, because that support system is very important. How supportive your mom was in that time period of your life, because that's very important coming up, and just growing up in general.
Super supportive. I watched my mom work a retail job for like 15 years, working at Burdines, just to pay for my like music lessons, and take care of my grandma and take care of my sister, single mom. So she played a big part because she was still there to support me no matter what. So it was kind of, when I lost my mother at 11, it was really hard for me to continue because I just felt like I didn't have a reason to do it anymore, because I wasn't really doing it for myself. Obviously, I just wanted to make her proud. So like, and that was a developmental time in my life where I'm like, I want to fit in. I'll do whatever. Like, I'll be athletic. Fuck all this skill that I acquired in the
Right.
past 3-4 years of
Right.
grinding.
Right.
So
Right. So can you remember a song or album that changed your life when you first heard it? I always love asking that question to
mhm.
musicians because it's always that one project that just triggered your mind to a whole nother level. Like, damn, I hear the sonics with this song or this album, the flow of this album, it makes me want to do music. What was that moment for you? Or what project or song was that for you?
Like sonically, like I only really, like at the time musically, I felt like the Fugees, like Lauryn Hill and Wyclef Jean. I feel like I want to be Wyclef. I was like, I could relate to these people, and just like sonically, it just sounded so good. It sounded like something that my spirit was aware of, or some shit like that. You feel me? Like,
Yeah.
but it's that type of music that definitely like hooked me. I want to make songs like that. I remember like one of the first songs that I rapped on was on a Ready or Not beat.
Or
Ready or Not, yeah, like just that was definitely developmental for me.
or let's transition towards your journey. I feel like that's a big moment, one of the big moments. I feel like um I like to ask artists because that journey, a lot of people think about the outcome, but a lot of people don't think about the journey.
Like what
And
it took to get there.
yeah, because you know how it is coming up. And
Yeah,
but I want to ask you, when did you first pick up the guitar, and who encouraged you to keep going to pursue music?
definitely my mother. I feel like she said she noticed that I really wanted to be a guitarist, so she's like, okay, I'll pay for lessons if you really want to do it. And it became something where it was like, okay, every week now I'm part of the band. Now I'm going to competitions. And like, she just stayed on me. No matter how far I wanted to go, she was paying for those lessons every week for me to be able to do that. Um, yeah, my family was there for me, but my mother was the one that impacted it. Because when she was gone, I felt like all my wants or any energy towards it just didn't really matter, because I felt like I was also doing it for her.
Or
And yeah, unfortunately, at the time I was becoming a teenager, so I want to do everything to fit in, be athletic, hang out with the cool kids. You feel me? And not really grind as much as I was, as a kid.
So primarily, you saying like around the time she passed,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you really picked up the guitar, or was it a
As
little
when I
bit
put it
before?
down.
Put it down. So
Yeah,
when did you pick it back up?
I feel like around my 20s, I
Oh,
picked it
word.
back up. Yeah, I did,
What
and
triggered
then
that?
Just like making music, want to be more behind my music. Because initially, when I was making music, it was around the time where like a lot of hate music was coming out, Tyler Creator and all that, and a lot of kids were making some weird, hateful music, and I did get caught in that until I wanted to really get behind my music instead of having other people produce it. I was like, I'm gonna produce my music, and I'm gonna make it this way.
Right.
So I feel like, yeah, I'm late 20s. I picked it up, and then when the pandemic happened is when I really started grinding. I started learning, just learning all I could learn about different genres. Starting to get into like music theory, which is something that I thought I would never have to get into, but it's something that definitely you can see progress within just even grinding for a week. You can see progress.
Right.
So
That's an interesting point. I'm still at all that you stopped and then you bring it back up to the 20s into your 20s. Speaking of, because you mentioned about your lessons, when you was younger, your mom was taking you to the lessons and stuff like that. But you get when you stop doing some things at a point in time, you get rusty and stuff like that. When you transitioned into your 20s, picking up the guitar, did you take more lessons or were you kind of self-taught, or did you balance it out between what you learned into self-teaching yourself, going back into picking up the guitar?
it was it was like a lot of being self-taught in the beginning, but then also seeking mentorship. Finding a mentor, jamming with them for a large amount of time, and then also understanding that I can also outgrow my mentor and move on to another one. So I learned because I was jamming with an older gentleman named Joe. He's in his 70s, cool dude, still kick it with him. Whenever I can jam, we jam. But that's like real like funk, old school rock. That's it. That boy don't do anything else. He don't. I start playing R&B chords, jazz chords. He don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Uh, but that's why you have to move on to another mentor, or even like seek just a different avenue. That's how you grow. That's how you can make your own sound. Eventually.
Right. That damn, you just hit a gem right there. You said outgrow your mentor. I don't think people talk about that. Like that's a very key thing. Cause you see things a whole, like, yes, you're getting taught, but it's just like, when do that moment happen when you feel like you outgrow that person? It's like, am I tripping? Sometimes you probably gotta ask yourself, am I tripping or
That's when they become your peer.
yeah,
Like that's when they're like, all right,
right,
And I
right.
have hella mentors of all ages. It's so tight. Like one of my mentors actually gave me this guitar. He was actually my civil engineering teacher for about 4 years.
Word.
So we became homies.
That leads me to my next question. Were there any specific influences that shaped your identity as a musician? I guess that's somewhat I would kind of be asking your inspirations or who kind of inspired you around those times.
Wow. It always goes back to my mom because she inspired me to like just do better. I also had a friend of mine named Chance who goes by Nkosi now. He's on like this spiritual journey. This, like I used to jam with him when I was a kid, and it's almost like we were meant to be in each other's life. But nevertheless, I used to jam with him. We used to do competitions together too. Carlos Santana, uh, him and Peter Frampton like had a way of definitely making the guitar talk. And my uncle, my godfather, was the one who taught me about them. Who would always play them? He would always play them in the car. And those are the guys that really shaped how I wanted to play. I always imagined I want to play like this. But it's only when I got older is when I could be like, oh, if I want to know how to play like this, I got to learn everything about that person. So those guys, Linkin Park, like System of the Down, those are cool. Like Jay-Z and Linkin Park,
Do you think that's an underestimated project?
that's definitely because that was tight. I was like, okay,
It
like
was
seeing them
different.
perform, I was like, this is raw. This is what we need to see.
It was
Not
different around that
not
time.
Run DMC and Kid Rock. Like we don't. That's not the cross that we want to see.
All right. Oh, all right. I want to take it back um, to your early years or your early days, rather. What did your early creative identity look like, and how did you start shaping your sound and figuring out who you were as an artist and as a person? It's two-part questions. So.
So like when and how?
Like, yeah, when did your early creative identity look like in the early stages?
Okay. I started as a like when I started putting music out around the age of 15, it was as a rapper, and I worked under my homie that was an engineer, Kalen, for a while, and his group of kid and homies. So and they were making a lot of like Tyler the Creator ass music, honestly, and I wasn't a big fan of that. Like I'm a fucking market parent. I wasn't into that hateful ass music shit. So um, until I started realizing how my actual friends receive my music, they're like, "This is not you." And I'm like you, like what you be doing on the regular sounds like you, and that's when I started trying to get more behind my music. I started like chopping samples and like rapping on them, and that's when things started to feel more natural. When I was rapping about what I was actually doing and rapping how I wanted to sound, that's when things started really taking off for me. I feel like around, and that took some time of development. Like it was probably around the ages of like 20, 21, 22 is when I actually started making music that I wanted to make.
Hmm. And what kind of what was that moment like for you, or what decision? What was like the decision making of make? How should I say this? What was that? What made you make that decision to make that transition into like, okay, I don't want to do that. I want to do this
Ooh.
and all that stuff. What was that moment?
In my head, I feel like the moment was when I wanted my music to be able to be played and my family could listen to it
Mm.
and not be embarrassed of it, or at least they would like it. Like I want to be able to make something that I wouldn't be embarrassed to like put out. I think that's a lot of artists are kind of like they have a hard time releasing things in general, but like just making something that wouldn't make you feel ashamed. Even
Mm.
like talking around you or rapping too explicitly, like come on, you can't play that around your grandma or your
Right,
mama. You feel
right,
me? So
right.
I feel like that was the moment when I was like, nah, I gotta make better music, and it was possible.
What were some of the challenges you faced in your early stages of your career that shaped your perspective in music?
Hmm. Well, I feel like there were a lot of different challenges, and I feel like my mom was probably the main one. That's when I was like, okay, I gave up on something that I actually truly loved because I didn't have the support, which in turn isn't really the most healthiest thing to do. But as a kid, it's acceptable. But I learned that, no matter what the situation is, whether it's a relationship, if you really love something, you'll keep at it and you won't let, um, you know,
Doubts.
yeah, doubts in your mind. You'll just stay at it. Uh, I don't know if I answered that question.
Yeah, it's just most like the
What are the
challenges.
actual
Yeah,
challenges that I
like
faced? I
because
feel
I could imagine those
there's
early
so
stages. I
many
mean, it's not
challenges.
common that honestly. I mean, we love, you know, rock and roll and all these things, but to me, it's not common.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
yeah. The self doubt is the main challenge, and also like the not having the funds, but also it's a gamble. Like everything that you do, especially when you're trying to like at least being an entertainer or working in the entertainment world, it's a gamble. So I feel like, man, asking me for what challenges is crazy. Me going on the road the first time was a challenge. We put up our own bread. We slept on like pissy carpets and shitty carpets. Like until they got to a point where we're in a mansion. You feel me? Like
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people
Like
don't
it's
know the
not.
sacrifice.
It's you got to put up your own bread and your time and your effort. I done lost relationships. I done lost hella bread.
We just talked about this out off camera too. It's crazy.
But at the end of the day, it's just like it's a gamble. Uh, but you got to make smart gambles. Like I remember, I put up a couple racks to film like 7 songs to do like a waterfall release of an album
Word.
instead of just putting it out and it getting lost. So I put out a song every week, and honestly, it created a buzz enough for me to be known as a musician. That's another challenge when you're known for something you don't want to be known for. Until people are like, "Oh, that's Danny the musician." I remember I used to be Danny the photographer, and that shit used to piss me off. I'd be like, just because I took photography classes, just because I'm nice at the camera, does not mean I'm a photographer.
Mm.
And then that's another challenge. But that those are very simple answers. Like You just gotta keep grinding. That's a
Right.
skill issue. Like you just gotta keep it going. You know.
Right. So I want to transition into your creative process,
Uh huh.
influences, and sound.
Hmm.
When you sit down to create, where do you usually start? Is it the melody, the riffs, mood, or something else?
It's like usually like the melody. Like it starts real simple. Like I used to make really stupid songs as a kid. Like it could start with like four chords. Four chords, and I'll just. Shorty wanna slide me. Shorty wanna slide time, drop it on me. Like
And then it
it
flows.
flows because then off those four chords, I can make three different variations of each chord. And then like at the end of the day, it's just like it's the way I guess as I gotten better at perceiving music, the flow, it became a little better at flow state.
Mhm.
Like even when I translate how to like when I play my lead lines, I just imagine me singing it like I try to make it sound like the vocals. Like I'll say like I'll do that first before I translate on the guitar versus me trying to be like or like using I guess the basic constructs like pentatonic scales that's really good though that those boxes they'll teach you like the basics of where you should be, but then when you can take it and you can transcribe it, that's when you can
Or
start like doing whatever you want.
all right. Nah, I'm just so interested in what you just said because it's like I'm new to this stuff. Like I don't come from this world, but I
Mhm.
always appreciate the the instruments. So I'm just learning something as you teach me how everything goes about. Because this is a whole different world. Like I feel like, and this leads me to my next question. Like reading music, right? Like I remember in elementary school, I had music class, and they teach us like so far away a long time ago, but like how they taught us how to read music and those symbols. Like, do
Mhm.
you know how to read music, and do you write your songs as well with that?
I only read music now. I only read music now because I just wanted to further my education, and also like when I genuinely want to learn a song, I will just go sit down and read it. But before, all the lessons my mom paid for, those are just memorization tests. I honestly just memorized, which is horrible. That's horrible. But I would just memorize the songs and I would just play them. But as I got older and I picked up the guitar again, I started with basic tabs and then I started breaking them down into notes. Just because like just on the fretboard, there's so many variations of one note. So I don't know, and different colors. So as things got more descriptive for me, that's when it was necessary for me to do it. But
Because I know Pharrell does that.
yeah, yeah,
The colors, like, so when you play music, you go based off of color as well too. Because you mentioned color.
not in that way though. Like it's like the intensity of, I guess, the chord, and it's funny
Okay.
because it's like this could be this chord, right? Or I can make it this way, right? Or I can play it this way. Those are all different colors of the same exact chord. One sounds a little darker than the other. One sounds a little lighter. I feel like that's the best way for us to kind of explain it when it comes down to a chord.
Or wow. I gotta give you a hand clap.
Like, I don't know if I even explained that nice enough, but
No, it definitely makes sense because yeah, I'm learning. Like I'm speechless because I don't even. I'm interested. I always figure like, yo, how do y'all make it sound so crisp in that guitar? Like, what's the difference? Because I know it is a difference between different guitars. Would you elaborate that for me
I feel
or
like
for us?
the crispness though comes from just sheer practice. But there are different types of guitars. I even brought a hella guitars. This is actually a solid body. I won't even go into the too much detail, but solid body guitar. And then this is a hollow body. These are like more jazzy. It just gives you more of like I guess a reverberated sound. I don't know how to even explain it for you. But this for me, I actually got it because it felt nice, and also I loved playing a violin as a youngin. Just having the sound of a hollow body. It's just a reverberation, I guess you could say. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how to really go into that. I'm not no scientist.
Mm-hmm.
I actually went to school to be a civil engineer though, which is hilarious. But and I also make these guitars too because I used to be a civil engineer. Anyways, I made this is one of my first guitars. It's another solid body Stratocaster Frankenstein build. It's a little banana. I had like personalized it too. I don't know if you can see that, like all over. We did the circuitry. This is actually my latest. It's another solid body. This is my latest one I did with my boy Tev. He did the artwork on it. Just simple shit. I actually don't take any of those on tour. I don't actually take this one doesn't go on the road with me because it's kind of fragile. I actually take this one on a plane with me because it's kind of rugged and it sounds great. And this is the one that my professor actually gave me this one years ago, and I've been putting that thing to work ever since.
We're gonna get more into the guitar talk for a second because I got a question for that. But
Mhm.
going back to the creative process, how do you know when a song or a riff is done? Like, how do you just tell yourself, okay, this is completed?
Sometimes I don't, because like I've gotten so used to like I can review a song to myself, or I can be like, nah, this sounds great to me and keep it. But I do a lot of peer reviewing. I send my music. I don't give a fuck. I send my music out to all my homies, and they tell me what they feel about it. And thankfully, I do have a group of people that are honest with me, and they'll tell me like, nah, I don't really like that one. And I'm like, all right, for sure, I'm gonna keep it. I'll keep that in mind. Um,
Hmm.
but that does help.
No,
So
for sure. Well, I guess I could just speed up into the guitar talk. I see that you have different guitars or you played with different guitars. How do you decide which one to use in a particular song or set? I know you mentioned this one to your right is for specific use, and then the other ones as well. Can you go more into that?
So this hollow body is nice. I do like it. It does. It is hot. It is hot. It runs hot. It's really bright. Again, it kind of gives me kind of a viola reverberation. It's really jazzy. When it comes down to my chord play, it's real nice. Um, actually, and this is a solid body. This is my trident, my true baby boo. This is the one that goes on tour with me when I'm flying. This is the one that comes with me on the plane because I can. It's pretty sturdy for the most part. Also, my one of my OGs gave this to me. One of my mentors gave this to me, so I've been using it ever since. These other ones, I made this one. This one's cool. It sounds like trash because I'm on that. I guess on a professional level now. This is not gonna cut it, and I made it myself. I'll tell you the truth. Um, and then this one's just pretty much artwork. Same thing, solid body. But this is the one that comes with me on tour. It
And
sounds great.
and how come it don't you don't take it on tour for a reason, for your particular reason?
Really for transportation purposes, and also that this one does reverberate a lot when we're in a in a bigger setting. So this one really will get me where I need to be. It's like my Swiss Army knife.
Where um do you work better alone or with a band when creating new material?
Both. Because it's again like with the peer reviewing, it's cool. What I do usually is I'll crank out a whole bunch of different melodies during the week, and when I do see the boys when we do rehearse for our sets, we jam often. That's how we warm up. So I'll throw in like a little melody, and if they bite, we sit in that funk for like 10 minutes, and that's when we can make it into a song. I love playing. I like team sports, so I love playing together. Because at the end of the day, like having several minds, several souls too to feel like you like they could even think of something that you would never thought of, and that brings like even more life to that. So that's how I work.
So just talking about more of, you talked about more of collaborating with people, with your band within that song earlier. Um, what kind of headspace do you need to be in to create your best work, in your opinion?
in a headspace where I'm free to do whatever the fuck I want to do. And thankfully, I've had a lot of artists that do allow me to have my freedom, which is the best because that's when I can do whatever. And also, I'm super open to however they. At the end of the day, when you do work as a musician, you're the talent that they're hiring, so you got to do what they want, kind of. But for the most part, it's always in a situation where they'll allow you to kind of manifest to the best version of yourself. Sometimes even push you there. So,
Or do you chase inspiration or do you treat music like a discipline?
oh, it has to be disciplined. Has to be disciplined. If you chase inspiration, that's like a drug. Like
Mm-hmm.
like if you're not disciplined with it, you can chase an inspiration, which is absolutely okay because you could be in a funk. But if you're disciplined enough, for me, especially as a musician, you should never get bored. There's always some shit to do.
Yeah.
There's always a genre you never tapped into, and you could learn that in a week and then be like, oh my God, I'm writing music like this now. Like, at the end of the day, if you learn, there should be nothing, there should be no spare time for you.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, do you show up regardless, pretty much? Like, no matter if you have these things, like you go through these slumps, but no matter what, you still create. I mean, you continue to work. Pretty much
You
what you're saying.
have to, as like, if you want to make any type of cake as a musician, especially, you have to be adaptable 100%. Because I get hit with a gig and I'm like, all right, but
Hmm.
one of my professors told me, he's like, if they tell you that they ask you for like a service and you can't do it, just tell them you can do it. Just give you some time. Say less. So that's exactly what I do. For the most part, I like or study, just like it's me going on a mission. I study everything that I have to know about what that person wants, and I pull up. I act like I don't even like it's cake to me, but in reality, but I study.
All right. And that's a good. I think that's some good game because a lot of people would probably like, "Oh, I'm too good for this," or
You're never too good for it.
"You're not bigger than the program." So, going back to the sound though, are there specific sounds, textures, or tones that you feel drawn to over and over again?
Like choruses. Have you ever heard "Men I Trust"?
Oh my
Show me
god!
how,
Oh my god! That's
son.
I was gonna wear my band tee of the man. You saw? Did you see him perform
No,
live?
man.
Oh my god!
We
I
play
gotta
their
show you the
music
footage.
often,
I gotta
but
show you the footage of the concert that I
yeah.
went to in Fort Lauderdale. Oh my god! Oh my god! That's one of my favorite bands.
I love them, man. Like I like textures like that, and like I also like G Herbo music too. Like I
Hmm.
like I like rugged. I like all walks of music. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I do favor like echoey, reverby, chorusy tones like that are just like like melt
It
away,
it gives you
melt
chills.
melt my face away. Like just kill me now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
freeze me
yeah.
up.
I like that vibe because it's just like you could just be cruising on the beach or some shit and just when that guitar when the part I don't know how to explain it but
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about like that soft little tone.
yeah.
Yeah, it gives you chills for sure. Um, do you think your sound reflects where you're from or what you've been through?
Both.
And how come?
Oh, because I feel like when I came to the realization that I was only going to make quality music when I was doing things that came from me, that's when I knew that it would be fruitful, because people saw how I was living for real in Miami, and they heard my music, and they're like, "Oh, he really do that." And so I feel like that also gives you the motivation to keep going as well. So it's a little bit of both, uh, and I do make a point for especially my music to be relatable for my people. But when you do want to make a banger, you got to make it relatable to everybody.
Right.
I kind of spoke about that earlier, where it was like making music that I was okay for my family to hear. My family to hear, be like, "Yo, this is turn this up. This is my man's like music that people would be proud of me making. The whole world. So when I mean like a musician uh, of any walk that's making music like that's healing the world, like making music that's good for us, that's healing us, that's when you're like, look, you're doing something that's important, and you're not gonna ever get the recognition that you get because it's like, hey, it's all based off this aesthetic, this art. You
Right.
know,
Are you, like, in hindsight, based on what we talked about in your upbringing, are you proud of yourself for taking that journey? I mean, it's probably a yes, but are you? I want to hear from you. Like, are you very proud that you took that step? That damn, in my 20s, I really went back to playing, music or picking up the guitar again. Like those little moments, you know.
mm, hell yeah, 100%. In so many ways, like I lived my 20s to the best that I possibly could have. I enjoyed them. I don't regret anything that I did, and I can appreciate the time where I started taking music seriously, where I was like, this is actually what I want to do. I'm about to be real grown for the next 10 years. So I got to either face it or really embrace what I really love to do, but do everything that job requires so I can make a living off of it.
Or, or going to the sound. I'm very curious about what I'm about to ask you because you mentioned about different genres and trying to just figure all those identities out. Is there a sound or genre you haven't touched yet that you're itching to explore?
Yo, so I want to make club bangers. Like I want to make like some like I don't know. I don't even know how to even explain it. Like even like I like making R&B or neo soul music. That'd be cool.
Or
But I feel like house music is something that I haven't tapped, and I feel like I can make some pretty tough choruses for a house song. So I think house is where I would want to tap into next.
I can see that though.
Yeah.
I can see that. Well, yeah, I
Like
can
even
see
on the
it.
K Tronada track, like I would like that's not necessarily house. What genre would that be? Like electronic? Like
Damn. I see him. I see him like I hear house in
yeah,
between.
yeah.
But I can't. K-Tronati can't even box him in. It's
You
like
can't. I
it's
feel
so
like those are
much.
the tracks I would want to be on though. Like that'd be tight because that's a completely different genre for what I actually even work the fields that I work in right now. Like
Mm,
I do work for like reggaeton artists out here. I do work for like R&B artists or hip hop artists, rap artists, like all walks of life. But the house, haven't really tapped in there yet. So holla at me.
mm. You by you just saying that like you worked with all different types of genres of musicians or musicians that work in different genres.
Hmm.
That made me think like, damn, and rock and roll or just rock in general or you being a guitarist, like, is it more collaborative than just other people that do other music?
Other genre.
Yeah. Is it more collaborative to work with different people,
As
other
a
guitarists?
musician, yes. When I remove myself as like a rapper and became a musician, that's when my like the whole scope opened up for me. Obviously, you're gonna still meet the douchebags, but you're in a world of people that are all learners essentially. So kind of you're gonna have a better, I feel like response. If you want to jam with someone, they'll be like, "Yeah, come jam with me," because they use it as an opportunity to also learn from you. So I do feel like yes, that community is. I wouldn't say rock per se is inviting, but the community of musicians is like if you really get into the circles that we have here, it's not even like a hierarchy or politics. It's literally just a really a tight knit community of musicians that are like the workforce. You might see them out, you might see them in other bands working, but they're like the same guys you see working on the streets out here in Miami.
Or how do you feel about the culture, the music culture in South Florida in your perspective?
It's going up, and it needs to keep going up, guys,
Mm,
because everyone's doing a great job. I feel like the collaborative energy is more apparent, and the apparent I think that it's very apparent that there's a lot of bags to be made, especially out in Miami now, especially in entertainment. So we're about to become like another like entertainment focal point in the United States. So we need to make sure that everyone that's out here doing their thing is also getting a bag too.
So how do you feel about the music scene in South Florida? Like, how do you personally feel about it these days?
I feel like the music scene in South Florida is growing and growing and growing in ways that I never thought it would in like the last 10 years. Like 2015, it was like now it's manifested. I feel like a lot of the younger generations that actually came into the game actually made it so that all the generations could come together for the most part. So I feel like the community right now is flourishing. The indie community, I feel like even the rap community as well. For the most part, I feel like we're probably going to be the next major metropolitan coming out, just like Atlanta was, just like New York was, just like LA was. I feel like we're going to be the next focal point for music. So,
Do you think it gotten better over the years versus how it was when you first started?
100%. I feel like a lot of the artists now, or even like collectives, are so open to being uh, a part of other collectives, like parties or events or rollouts, because it's almost like I feel like it's like, oh, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, and I feel like this community has really taken that to another degree, which is great. Because before it's like everyone wanted to do their own thing, stay closed off, and in reality, we're throwing our own parties, we're throwing our own events, we're having other artists come out, vice versa. I feel like even with the bands that we've worked with too, they give us gigs, we give them gigs. Like sometimes you might have someone open up for you, and then months from now, you might be opening up for them.
Right,
That's why
right.
it's important to be like humble wherever you go. You meet people, you're like, hey, what's up?
Mhm.
What do you do?
Nah, that is true. Like, you know, South. I mean, especially Miami. Miami is like, we could be standoffish. We talked about it
100%.
off here, but the fact that people are starting to notice is it's not even just rap. It's just more of like all genres. Like people that, like you said, going on tour out here, just like they definitely tapping in and who's who out here. So it's very interesting how it transitioned to what it is today.
It has to be that way because there's no way in hell, especially in this economy, you're gonna do it without knowing anybody.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
gotta know people.
But going back to your guitar, man, I know you mentioned that the guitar you holding,
Hmm.
it has some type of value to you. Somebody important gave it to you. Can we
Yeah.
go more into detail with that? Like, um, what does this guitar, or why does this guitar brings you back to a certain time in your life every time you play it?
Well, first off, ooh, my professor gave me this guitar, and it's crazy because I've always wanted a Les Paul, but when I say professor, but this is my high school teacher of 4 years in civil engineering, and even after like I graduated, we stayed pretty tight, and he still follows me to this day through my journey. He's always liking my stories, but he's like, "Hey, take this. My hands are way too big for this, and I'm pretty sure you'll do this justice." And he put it in my hands, and I made sure I put that thing to work to the point where like things were getting messed up on it, and I had to fix them. But this is definitely like this is my go-to on tour. She goes everywhere with me, even as my backup. Sometimes I'll play this one, but this is the one that goes on planes. She goes everywhere.
Mhm. Talk more a bit about it. Like, what does it really mean to you? Like, I know it's your baby, but
I don't know. Again, it's like this is my favorite analogy because I feel like I'm like King Arthur. I think that's the king, and I'm pulling out the Excalibur sword out the rock. I felt like it came at the right time and out, and I needed a. My other guitars are kind of. I made this one, and this shit is trash. This shit is trash. My boy Five actually worked on it. He said I can fix it. I can fix it, bro. He couldn't fix it. It was right before my first LA show. He fucked it up. It's never been the same. So definitely, this is the professional guitar right here.
all right. What's a piece of gear? It could be your guitar, your pedal, your amp. You can't live without, in your opinion.
I feel like that's a simple question like this because like even if I can't connect this bitch to anything, I can still play. I can have fun for me.
All right,
Like I played it myself with nothing connected to it. I can just enjoy it, you know, without the gear.
all right. So let's talk more about you joining and building with Mr. Floyd Larry, your band. How did Mr. Floyd Larry come together?
It started when I just finished dropping one of my first big projects, and I was headlining a show. And right before I headlined the show, I went to go see Mr. Floyd Larry perform by himself. When he was just by himself at like house parties, and when I pulled up to his show, he was walking out the door already, and I was like, "Damn, I'm so sorry I missed your show, bro." And he's like, "It's all good, it's all good." I'm like, "To make it up for you, bro, like if you want, you can play on in my show. You can play on the bill with me. I'll just call my manager right now. I'll make an adjustment." And he's like, "Oh, for sure." So we did that. I performed. That was one of my best performances. Whole house was rocked out. Like I was on top of speakers, like rapping and shit. And then Garvey, they ended up moving Garvey around, unfortunately, because of unforeseen circumstances. And he ended up playing by himself to a crowd of like 5 people. And I was like, bro, this he makes great music, but he needs a band. So I told him like, yo, if you need a band, let me know, right? And I guess things started becoming or gaining more traction. And he was like, yo, I should probably have a band. And he ended up picking me to play. And I had another homeboy and one of our other homeboys that was just down to back him up because they were playing in my band for my song. So we were just like, we'll just be your band. So we did that first. And as time went on, Garvey was like, yeah, you want to continue to be my guitarist? I was like, yeah, for sure. Um, and as people started like dropping out because of real life things, we got real life, we got jobs. They couldn't do any more free shows. We did about like 7 free shows before we started getting paid, which was for me was worth it because I didn't put in the time yet as a musician. So I was like, you know what? I need the hours on stage. I need to do this for myself regardless because I want to be a musician for myself. So I was like, I'll put in the time. So, we ended up being on a fast track. As time went on, we met Five, and Raph ended up joining us, and he's our drummer as well. So, but that's how things kind of trickled in, or like the Avengers type shit.
Right. I mean, what was the pivotal moment that you was just like, okay, yeah, for sure, I'm in? I mean, you mentioned the, getting putting those hours in, trying to, be on stage and everything. But what was that pivotal moment? You was like, yeah, I'm officially in. Yeah, I gotta be in.
When I started learning, like other people's material, I feel like so learning his material, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. He hit me up to first. It started off with him hitting me up and two of my other homeboys after we had did it like we videotaped one of my tracks together, and he was like, "Yo, this IG wants to hit us up to do a video of one of my songs. Can y'all be my band?" So I learned his material and we played on it, and they videotaped us, and I saw how I'm looking as a guitarist. I was like, "Oh man, I fuck with this." Like, I had been like selling myself as a guitarist around, but I wasn't really fucking with shoegaze. That's the genre. It's like indie rock, but it's heavily synthesized, especially with the guitars.
Right.
But I wasn't into that shit until I saw myself. I was like, I could dig this shit. Like this is what I like to see. So that's when I knew it was for sure me, and I needed to grind it anyways because I wanted to be my own guitarist. I wanted to be that for myself, and I didn't feel like I had the timing yet.
As a guitarist, how would you describe your role in shaping the band's sound?
Um,
Since you started with them to now.
I feel like because Garvey, the lead singer, gives us a lot of freedom. There's a lot of songs that we do our own renditions on. Like even like just the chordal play because that was not my main genre. There were just certain things that I just played different. Instead of just playing the chord like this, I'd play it like, you feel me? I would play it with that kind of R&B bounce to it. And that's just like my own little steez that I'm allowed to sprinkle on there, which is cool because now if I get hit up from an artist, they want me for that specific sound.
All right. Do you usually bring riffs to the table or build off the energy off the group?
So yeah, definitely. I feel like the kind of both. So because practicing is a part of like being a successful musician, I feel like just learning different chords and variations of them, I'll do them on my own when I'm home. But then when I get to like jam with the boys or even like rehearse, I'll throw in like something that I've been playing for the week and see how it's received and go from there. We usually write songs that way, so it's pretty cool. That's I feel like that's the natural way of doing it. Even when we record, we all record together, usually at once, which is like not. It's kind of old school in that way, in that fashion. But that's when you get the purest. I feel like form of music.
Are there any songs where your guitar work really carries the emotions or mood of the song you guys created?
Yeah, for sure. I was kind of playing a little bit of it, but it's that song "Crush." Actually, it's kind of like it's not heavily synthesized, but it's just like the song is super somber. It's real airy. It's just like that very feeling where it's like, oh, things are kind of sad, but shit's looking up. Like that's,
Right.
and I feel like that's a positive vibration that I try to instill in all my music, even my playing. Obviously, like there's certain songs that are gonna carry that ideal of either it being like a sad song or a happy song. Um, but like I feel like the way I play is with a lot of feeling in general, so you can kind of feel like you can notice it's me. You feel me? Like Pharrell, you hear a Pharrell beat, you're like, that's Pharrell on that beat. Let's look up the credits.
Right.
It's Pharrell on the beat. So
Right. No, that's an interesting POV. It's interesting POV because it's like you'll have your distinct sound, and that's what people like. Oh yeah, I need that. It's crazy. It's so interesting to
yeah,
me. All the legends and shit, like they always their band. They make sure, nah, I need this. This is documentary James Brown. He's in the studio. He's listening. He's like, no, I need you to. He's telling his drummer or whatever, or his guitarist, like, yo, I need you to amp it up. Let's do it more.
mm-hmm.
It's like you see sounds. It's
That's
like,
literally how it is. That's how they talk to me. They're like, I need you to come out. I need you to do this.
right.
And it's a crazy exchange because like if you can't have that exchange with as a musician with the artist versus the talent, like if you can't have that conversation between the two, then damn you can't have that job. You need to
Right.
be able to sometimes they can't tell you exactly what you need, what they want. They'll tell you, hey, I need you to step it up.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to understand what the fuck that means,
Right.
so
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, it's just because to me, I'm in the other world. So, but
yeah,
I understand the sonics of music. But
yeah.
just y'all are scientists to me because the way that you guys just like it's like a whole nother language when talking to y'all. Like, oh nah, I need you to sync this, or I need you to do this, I need you to do that. So it's so interesting every time I hear you guys talk about music. It's just it fascinates me every time. So it's always interesting. Um, you're in a band. There's multiple people. I'm always interested about, you guys are probably not going to agree on everything, right? So how do disagreements or creative differences get handled while working together?
I feel like being comfortable with um our humility. I don't know. I feel like this is such a like Dade County ass thing, but like you know what it means when you have a group of friends that'll roast you because they actually genuinely love you. So whenever there's like a disagreement, we'll all talk about it, um, and whatever the decision is, like all right, just have to live with that. That's the decision that's being made there. There's times that we individually have fucked up, and that's okay because we have understood that we are all gonna fuck up.
Right.
But the main thing about being in a band is like it's so corny, but one band, one sound. So if you mess up, your partner beside you should be there for you to pick up where you left off.
Mm-hmm.
So
So you would like it pretty much sounds like you guys are y'all build that bond to where y'all become close with amongst each other, but would you also say it's like some type of structure between y'all when you guys make music or just in general?
yeah, for the most part, it's pretty organized without us even thinking about it. We just get right to work
Right.
because we're so used to working with whatever we have. We get right to work whatever studio we work in, whatever group we work with. They'll tell us like, "Why you guys work fast?" And we'll be like, "Because we used to work with so little time, so we
Right.
have to do that." So no, I think that we all come to an agreement pretty fast. We also have great management. We have a manager on the West Coast that takes care of all the operations out there and even like booking us around the country. But we also do have like close knit management for us at home, on the east side that literally will grind with us, sweat with us, go through like heartache with us, go through losing a bag with us. So like we just have people we can count on. We can count on each other. So
And that's very important because it's like it's the teamwork made the dream work.
100, it really do though. Like you just have to trust in it, and then I promise the bags appear.
Mm-hmm. Like that sweat equity definitely helps out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because all it takes is people to see what you're doing and be like, I want to be on that. There's your bag.
And it's genuine, it's organic.
Yeah, that's it.
What is one track that came together unexpectedly or organically but ended up being your favorite?
There's so many tracks because that's how they come out so organically. Damn, I have a song that's called Slop Top. That's the best song ever. And it's so funny because that should have your mom singing that shit. That should have the kids singing it. I feel like because the message is nasty, but it's delivered in a way where it's almost like a nursery rhyme. You feel me?
Yeah.
And it's something that's just so trivial. I feel like that's like with music, things shouldn't be taken so seriously. It's like a game. Like while you're in it, you take it how like you're supposed to take it. But when you're out of it, get out of there. It's like watching a scary ass movie. You watch it, but then okay, I'm back to the real world. I'm still gonna have nightmares though. You feel me? Like
yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. But I love when music does that in regards to like I was telling like my homie because he does music too, and he was like, a most heartfelt song could just be played in the club and they just singing it, but they don't understand what, like the beat, it'll be vibing, so they'll just be vibing with the beat and vibing with the song, but really, it's really like a heartfelt song.
That's so funny because most of the Mr. Floyd Larry songs are about like sorrow and like death and all that shit, but the way that they're delivered, it sounds so like healing.
Right.
It'll have you dancing, and it's funny because bro, check them out. Check out the discography. Be like, damn, this shit is actually sad.
Yeah.
But they're beautifully written. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the live shows. I always picture you guys together like live. I just be so like intrigued about how you guys come together with y'all live shows. I was blessed enough to actually see y'all perform in Gainesville.
Oh,
shout out
big fest.
Jahi, you know what I'm saying?
Shout out Jahi.
It wasn't this year, but it was last year, and it was just very interesting just hearing you guys live. What's the live show like for Mr. Floyd Larry? How would you describe that energy, in your opinion?
It's like being in a circus, and you and your homeboys are the monkeys. Please forgive me, but it's like we're the trapeze artists, and we have to make sure we land all of our tricks like a skateboarder would. So when we do land all of our tricks, even like do some unexpected shit, like we'll see each other, we'll be like, because we do keep communication while we're on the stage. But that's like the best feeling when we're all communicating and we're delivering exactly what they paid us for, what they wanted, and sometimes even more. Like our show in Chicago was sold out. I never did 3 encores back to back like that. That shit was crazy. But it's because they wanted us, and I felt like that was a moment where we just kept on like spinning the basketball, and then it kept spinning and it kept spinning, and it was like, yeah, like,
word.
It feels good.
Yeah, what's your favorite part about performing live? In your opinion, it don't have to be with the band, just in general.
The things that happen when the things that are that are unplanned, the surprises. That's the best part of any performance. Because for the most part, the way that like I actually was trained or brought up on is like to perform in the moment, like that kind of flow state. So we do have a structure, yes, we do practice a structure, but the little things that we do in between to either make each other laugh or to get a response out of the crowd, that's what I play for, you know. I don't play for the goal. I don't play for that shot. I play for everything that led up to the shot. How beautiful was it?
Mhm.
You know, always.
Speaking of surprises, do you ever get nervous before a show? If so, how do you deal with it?
Always. Always, but it's like crisis response. We're a band, but we're also a great crisis response team. That's exactly what you should train to be as a performer on stage or a first responder. Like you just got to make sure you're ready for whatever to happen. If your shit unplug, calmly just reach behind you, plug it back in, or like how to like kind of troubleshoot shoot a situation while we're in it without it making it look like we're troubleshooting a situation. So
Effortlessly.
yeah, and it's practice. That's the only answer. Practice.
Now, I think we talked about this off camera, like probably like I don't know, probably like a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
How would you say the crowd connects to your sound when you're performing?
All right, because we have younger fans, so they're just like a whole bunch of kids that are like in their 20s that are just like it's almost like psychedelic kind of like they either
Right.
be like holding on to their shorty, kissing them, or like tripping. We've had some people mosh, which is like not what we want. We want y'all to dance, but
Mhm.
that's what like I make music for that. I like when people can respond to it in a positive way. I really just don't do the violence because there's no way in shape
Yeah.
or form where that's necessary with music, you
Right.
know. So I think that they respond to it in a positive way, and that's why I'll continue to make very positive music.
Do you think, speaking of that, that's a good segue to the next question. Do you think the band has a message or a theme it leans into the music, or is it more about the feeling?
It has to do with both. It's about the feeling, but I feel like the overall message is like overcoming. Like it could be like a sad song, but it's always finding like the life after it. So
Right.
you know, whether it's even talking about the end of life, it's just like the life, what happens after it. Even though like fully present within the song, I feel like it's always looking onward to the next thing. So I feel like it's pretty positive.
Okay, I want to transition more into your vision and your career. Um, what does success, and I say when I say success, quote success, what does success in music look like to you personally, not by industry standards, but in your perspective?
Hmm. I feel like to keep it simple, just to have a successful brand for myself. I feel like to be sold as a musician in general, to the highest bidder. As horrible as it sounds, but to be in a position where like Pharrell is in right now, that would be the end goal for me. I may not be the biggest producer, but in my own way, I feel like I'm tapping into so many different genres and worlds because of how open I've kept myself. Like I'm always learning, but as long as I feel like I can tap into almost like every avenue of the entertainment or the world that's displayed for the, I feel like, typical consumer, I feel like if I can be behind that in any way, I feel like that's success for me. You know, to shape the images that we see is like super important, and whoever's responsible for that is like responsible for a lot of people's well-being. So I feel like, yeah, I would love to have hella hits, whatever that may look like. I work with so many different artists, especially out here. And you know, I work with a lot of budgets. I'm not bougie or anything like that. As long as like an artist shows that I'm worth, like they show that they know what my worth is, then I'm super willing to go like over and beyond to even learn what type of genre they are or what the genre, you know, what genre they're in or what genre they would like to be a part of. I feel like for me, success is great for me to be a successful artist, but to be a successful musician in general, I feel like will allow me to like work with whoever I want to work with, no matter what it is, because I'm not necessarily in competition with anybody. So if I could eat off of that, that's what I would like to do, like Carlos Santana, if you will.
Yeah, I guess this is kind of intertwines with the question I just asked. But what are some, excuse me, what are some personal milestones you're chasing right now, whether in skill, style, or exposure?
Oh wow! Like for this year, it's crazy because I did something different. I set like 25 goals for myself instead of just setting like one or two New Year's resolutions. Uh, so I want to definitely be on tour with big artists. Even though I do go on tour with the band, I love them to death, and I will continue to do that. But like being on tour with other artists can show how versatile I am. I feel, and I've been working with a lot of artists, so I feel like it'll happen. Like one of my other milestones was to co-write a song with or write a song with another artist or a big artist, and I already reached that milestone. So like it's on to the next thing, and also like I think it's time for me to go overseas. To be honest, like the United States is real cool. I love it. I hit most of the major metropolitans, but I think it's time for me to like really take my talents overseas.
Or yeah, I always say the state's cool, but it's always gonna be here. I want to go.
Yeah, just like Miami. Like when I bounced from Miami, and again, like I had a choice to leave Miami, and I said no, I don't need to. This could be my headquarters. I'll go all over the world,
Right.
And I feel like I could do the same thing with work. Um, it's crazy because the artists that I work with, they have demographics like in New York, and they have a demographic of fans that is on the West Coast. So it's like I could just be here and do it all over. So for now, at least. So
Mhm. Is there a version of you as an artist that you haven't fully stepped into yet?
yeah, I feel like I really haven't put in the. I loved being like a solo artist when I was doing my thing as Danny G. Um, but I couldn't translate everything that I wanted to do as a musician, a singer, as a performer just yet. So I feel like this is definitely a part of my journey. Is to put in the hours and the time as a musician for others, even write songs for others in the industry. Until like I have my own funding and I have my own masters and I have my own studios and all that to make my music the way I want to make it. Even the education and performance hours too. Like you know, that's why I respect all the artists I work under. I respect them. I respect their mastery, especially if they're playing an instrument and singing. That's just something that's a little different, especially in front of hella people. Like even with the band that I work with now, Mr. Floyd Larry, our lead singer, like we all get nervous, but no matter how big the crowd is, we still give it our 100%. And because like we have a good leader, being a good lead is really important too. And if you can't do that, that's probably because you didn't play all the other positions. So this is me playing all the positions before I can be the captain.
Or I like that perspective. Are there any fears or doubts you've had to work through in your career?
Always, and that's never gonna stop. As long as you understand that as like anyone trying to be successful in any field, then I feel like there's no way you'll never fail. If you understand that you're always gonna doubt yourself even a little bit, it's because like bro, you don't want to fail. At the end of the day, no, I don't think anyone wants to fail. The more inclined you are to like not being scared about failing, the better you are set to be successful moving forward. Because you had that extra confidence in yourself. It's the same thing with like us. I can assume with skateboarders. At the end of the day, I'm pretty sure every time they pop a trick off stairs, they're like, I could break some stuff. Um, so I'm pretty sure there's a little doubt there. But if the majority of it is that I can do it, then you will most likely do it.
Yeah, like that. You speaking gems right now for sure. Um, what do you hope people remember about you as a guitarist or musician, and even an artist?
Uh, how I got here. So because I feel like that's the thing. I think like that's like my motto. Every time like another musician out here, because there's so many young cats out here, so many black young, Latin, like a whole bunch of like minorities that are so gas and they're better than me. So whenever they see me, they look up to me. I'm like, nah, you up next. Like anytime you like, I promise you, like there'll be a time for you. You know, you gotta stay at it. If this is what you pray for, you gotta be ready for the blessing when it comes. So like, you just gotta keep at it because you never know where it's gonna come from.
Right.
No one's gonna knock on your door though and meet you at the door.
Right.
So yeah, man. Super blessed to be here. So that's why I like whenever again the young cats come up to me and they tell me, I'm just like, yo, stay at it.
Yeah.
Cause that's how I got here.
Because they need those little moments that you tell them that they need to hear those moments. That's gonna amp them up to, oh yeah, I gotta go harder. I gotta go harder.
I'm like, yo, I didn't do. I have to tell them this because I feel like you seen Back to the Future. You seen with the old guy with the hair.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what his name is, but he's like, come on, bro, like you can do this, like because he's seen it. But it's like, for me, I only could see it because I know that I had probably less than what they had. I'm like, you could definitely do it, but you gotta stay at it. You gotta stay at it. So, again, it's like it's all luck, but it's only lucky when you're there, like shooting for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you gotta be shooting for it.
If your story or sound helped somebody through something, what would you want that moment to be?
Overcoming any part, like anything that has to do with adversity, just like not being able to be good, quote unquote, not good enough. Any hardship, because it's cool. It's so funny. My sister always like bags on me for being like a Drake ass motherfucker, but like, cause I'm so in tune with my feelings. I probably didn't have the emotional intelligence as a jit, but like now that I know that I can embrace those feelings and know what they're derived from, I feel like I can translate that, and it's super relatable when it comes to like the consumer. I get a like in the beginning when I was making music, I was not getting any good feedback. Now people be like, "Yo, like this song, like does this to me," and I'm like,
right.
"Good for you, shorty. Good for you, baby. I'm happy for you. Keep getting it. Get back to it."
Lifestyle, man.
You feel me?
That's why I love what we do. Creative. We definitely, I always say we kind of rule the world because we make the world go round because
Facts.
we create the everyday thing
The
that
tastemakers.
goes on. Yeah, literally. Like from the art, think about people that design buildings. Like without them, it wouldn't be no infrastructure of where we lay our heads at night. So
Right.
that's a blessing. Well, man, I think that concludes us to the interview, man.
Damn, Aaron, you don't got 50 more questions to ask me?
Nah, man, it was truly an honor, man. This is I think when I
don't know what the fuck that was.
Yeah, me either, but but nah, when I started to do these questions, man, there's certain things I've learned, as far as like your genre of music that I'm still trying to, as a listener, trying to know these certain terms and understand the perspectives of a musician on a whole different genre. And it's so interesting. And the way that you broke everything down, it made me want to tap more into your genre and like I have a whole, me and my homie Bushy, like we always respect the band because these are live instruments. Like back in the 50s and the 60s and even the 70s, probably in the 80s as well too, they'll literally go in the studio and
capture the live essence, and that's what we do, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of people, it'll go over people's heads, but when you like the age of the live music is coming back because of what AI is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody could put out a track that can be a bop, but if you can't make the residuals off of you going on the road to do it, like people pay to see Cirque du Soleil still. You feel me? There's bands that have been touring for 30 years, 40 years. Like you could do this for the rest of your life.
And it's the feeling, like hearing those drums, hearing those guitars,
hearing that live
sound,
even the messing up, like the jokes, the live things that happen. It's just like, it's just a feeling. the feeling that you pay for. They pay for an experience.
Mm-hmm.
The live performance is definitely something that should be worthwhile. Even if you've seen a band play like 10 times, like for us, we don't play the same set and we never play the song the same way
really?
ever. We don't do that. We like leave room for enough essence from all of us. Shouts out Garvey because he allows that. Again, any artist that'll allow that for the talent around them to do that is going to be successful. You know, you just got to find the right people that you could trust. Again, it's a trust thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to ask you a couple things. Any final words or wisdom for aspiring musicians that want to come up in the game? I know you hit a lot of gems, but if you have at least probably one more.
Like learn every position, like on the field, even if it's like it doesn't gotta be like ground, but like honestly, you should just so you can respect the craft in every aspect of it. It'll make you go harder, especially as like any recording artist. It does start from somewhere that's very minimal, but just like Aaron was saying, there's a science to it, and if you're willing to dive into it, and then it could be fruitful. But it should not be the only thing that you do. Like I've been reading a book, The Jazz of Physics. Like for you to derive true inspiration is not from just being stuck in the field and practicing and studying that only, but it is to like really venture out in other fields to see other perspectives of life. Because how else would you be open-minded if you don't?
Right. So how can the people connect with you and listen to you and your band?
Well, you can catch me on IG or on any social media as Danny Gauchier. Or Mr. Floyd Larry is one of the bands that we do work with, that I tour with often. You can catch them on Spotify and all streaming services. But yeah, you can find us on anything, all streaming services pretty much. Just look up the names. Danny Gauchier, Danny Gauchier, Dirty Dan, if you will. I'm kind of out here, Shadi. So, not even trying to be like that, but honestly, yeah, and usually I'm out here in Miami doing my thing, so you can holler at me, guys. I'm pretty approachable.
All right, Danny, it's truly an honor.
Love
Thank
you,
you for
man.
being here,
Thank
man.
you.
Joining this platform. Man, it's like again, this is truly an honor because I learned something today on the genre that I'm still exploring. And just hearing different perspectives and different things that I could learn as far as me being a listener and what to hear in those different elements. So it's truly an honor, Danny. Thank you for being part of an episode of Beyond the Scenes.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me. Ugh.